Okay, so this is number 8. Yes, this is number 8 in your notebook. All right, so let's go over this. So this first part, this is your photosynthesis reaction. You need to write out the words of your photosynthesis reaction, and then you need to write out the compounds for your reaction. Yes, you can go to the bathroom. So who wants to tell me what my photosynthesis reaction is? What is this, Isaac? No.
Yeah, carbon dioxide plus water.
But your name is Russell.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
Carbon dioxide plus water. No.
Carbon dioxide and what was it?
Water.
Water.
And glucose and oxygen. Yeah.
No, this is photosynthesis. So what do you need for photosynthesis? You need carbon dioxide, you need water, and then what's the third reactant that you need? Sunlight. So you can write sunlight on this arrow. All right, so we have carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight making what? Glucose and oxygen. Yes. All right, now you need to write out the compounds in their molecular form. So what is the molecular compound for carbon dioxide? So this is CO2. What about for water? H2O. What's glucose?
C6H12O6.
And then oxygen?
O2.
And sunlight you can put here again. In order to balance this, so we need to have the same amount of stuff on this side as we do this side of the arrow. So we need to have equal numbers of everything. So in order to do that, we need to have a 6 here, a 6 here, and a 6 here. There's only one molecule of sugar being made, so we do not write a number in front of that, but all your other numbers should be 6. So this is your equation for photosynthesis. You need to know the words, and you need to know how to write those in the chemical formula. So you need to know both of these. So now number 1, we need to circle the reactants and draw a square around the products in the equation above. So which part of this whole equation are just my reactants? What are my reactants of photosynthesis? What is it? These are my reactants. So sunlight is, there's no chemical compound for sunlight, so that's why we have to write it on the arrow, but it is still considered a reactant. So all of these are your reactants. You need to know what your reactants are for your photosynthesis process equation. All right, so those are circled. And then we're going to put a square around the products. So what are your products for photosynthesis? Glucose and oxygen. So these are going to have boxes around them because these are your products. So please make sure you know your reactants and your products for your photosynthesis equation. Okay. Number 2, in photosynthesis, plants capture light energy from the where? Where do they get light energy from? The sun. And change it into what and what? What are our 2 products? Yes, Owen? Glucose and oxygen. Either or. Glucose is a certain type of sugar. So glucose is being more specific, but it is a sugar, yes. Number 3, the glucose that plants make supplies them with energy. And it also becomes a source of energy for organisms that blank plants. Eat plants, yes. Eat the plants. Plants use blank from the roots. What are they getting from the roots? Water. They're using water from the roots. And what else are they getting through the stomata or from the environment? Carbon dioxide. So remember, your stomata are the pores or the holes in your leaves where your carbon dioxide and your oxygen can go in and out as needed. Okay? Number 5, photosynthesis takes place in the blank in plant cells. Chloroplasts. So real quick side note. These two questions seem to be getting y'all kind of hung up. So, in general, for the most part, photosynthesis occurs in chloroplasts. I know that there are some parts of that process that technically don't happen inside of the chloroplasts. But what you have to do is you have to think in general. Look at the big picture. So the big picture is that photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplasts. And then also with your cellular respiration, I know that there are certain parts of cellular respiration that do not happen inside the mitochondria. But for the most part, in general, our cellular respiration does happen in our mitochondria. All right, so those are the two organelles. If you get those questions, those are the two organelles. Photosynthesis in chloroplasts, cellular respiration in mitochondria. Right? Your quiz that I gave you back, I did make a video yesterday going over the photosynthesis quiz and the cellular respiration quiz. I will put it on YouTube, so it will be one of those YouTube videos that you can go watch. I will let you know when it's up and ready to be viewed. I'll send you, I'll put a link somewhere. I'll let you know where the link is. But anyway, if you want to go over the quiz, then there will be a YouTube video that will do that for you. All right? And I will let you know how to get to that YouTube video. All right. So back to this. Photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplasts and plant cells. These are mostly found in the blank layer of the leaf. So this we did not talk about, but if you use the process of elimination, yes, that word, E-A-L. Does everyone have these? Can I erase these? So, photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplasts, and then more specifically in what layer of the leaves? P-A-L-I-S-A-D-E? Sure, why not? All right, number 6, the blank of the leaf delivers water and nutrients from the roots. The vein. Number 7, the leaf can open and close the stomata. Very good. Stomata. Yes. And then number 8, what regulates the opening of the stomata? The guard cell. Very good. All right. So that is your photosynthesis. Any questions before we move on? Give you a few more seconds to write those down. Okay, so the back. The back talks about cellular respiration, but this, real quick, this part up here is talking about the composition of your leaves. We did not go over that, so don't worry about that top part. All right, so we're going to come down here and we're going to talk about cellular respiration and fermentation. So cellular respiration, again, we have equations we need to know. Yes, ma'am. Oh, you don't have one with the back on it? Raise your hand if you don't have a back. All right, anyone else not have a back on their worksheet? All right. Okay, so who wants to tell me what is my reaction? Yes. What is my reaction for cellular respiration? Yes, Renee. Oxygen and glucose. And then what are we going to be making? Yes?
So I have a question, but I can also answer that.
What's your question?
I put like glucose plus oxygen. Does it matter
No.
which one of the
As long as you know that these are your reactants and then those are your products.
Okay. And then do I like want to answer like what the products are?
Yeah, what are your products?
Okay, I got like carbon dioxide, and then I got oxygen plus energy.
Perfect. What kind of energy? What's the usable type of energy that our cells are making? Look in your word bank.
Oh, it's cell energy. Oh, ATP.
You're fine. Alright, so carbon dioxide. What was the other one you said?
Oh, I said
Oxygen.
oxygen.
It's water. So you are using oxygen and you're going to produce water. Okay. So then what are the chemical compounds? So for oxygen, what is it? How do you write oxygen? O2. What about glucose? Very good. What about carbon dioxide? And water? And then what does ATP stand for? Adenosine triphosphate. That is what you are producing, ATP. Yes. All right, so number 9, we need to again circle the reactants and draw a square around the product. So what are your reactants of cellular respiration? What are the reactants? Glucose and oxygen, so these two are your reactants. And then what are your products? What are you making for cellular respiration? Carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. These are your products that you need to know of. Very good. All right, so let's answer these questions. Number 10, the blank from food you eat. So what in food are you going to break down? Glucose or, but it's not up there, so it's glucose. So the glucose in your food that you eat has to be broken down so that energy it contains can be converted into ATP, which is the form of energy your cells can use. So yes, you are making carbon dioxide, but the energy that your cells use is ATP. So you gotta read this, the end of the sentence. Number 11, most organisms such as humans use cellular respiration to obtain energy from food. Cellular respiration takes place where? In the mitochondria. The cellular respiration chemical reaction produces 2 waste products. What and what? Water and carbon dioxide. Which one's the one that you exhale? Carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide goes here. And water goes here. Very good. Okay. Any questions on cellular respiration before we talk about fermentation? See a couple more people writing. All right. Okay. So, fermentation. All right. So, fermentation. When the cells cannot get the blank needed for cellular respiration, oxygen is needed. So oxygen is needed for cellular respiration. when your cells cannot get enough oxygen, the process of what takes over?
Fermentation.
Fermentation. There are how many types of fermentation? There are 2 types of fermentation. The first type occurs in your muscles. And if they are in your muscles, what are you producing in your muscles?
Lactic acid.
Lactic acid. Very good. Which contributes to muscle fatigue after strenuous activity. The second type of fermentation occurs in some types of bacteria and yeast. The gas produced by yeast cells in fermentation cause bubbles, very good, of carbon dioxide to form in bread and make the bread rise. Very good. So with fermentation, what you need to know is that fermentation is cellular respiration. So we are talking about cellular respiration. Now, cellular respiration can either happen with or without oxygen. If it is with oxygen, what is it called? With oxygen. Aerobic. If it is without oxygen, what is it called? Anaerobic. And if it's anaerobic, what is it also called? What is that process? That is when you have fermentation. And then there are 2 types of fermentation depending on what you are producing and where it's located. So if you are if you are doing it in your muscles, what is that type of fermentation called? What is it? Lactic acid fermentation. Lactic acid fermentation. Why is it called lactic acid fermentation? What are you producing?
Lactic acid.
Lactic acid. What is the other type that is in bacteria or yeast? What type of fermentation is that? What's your other type of fermentation? Alcoholic. Alcoholic fermentation. Because what are you producing when you undergo alcoholic fermentation? Ethyl alcohol, or just alcohol. And what else? What else are you producing in alcoholic fermentation? What is making your bread rise? Thank you. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. So you have cellular respiration. You either have cellular respiration with or without oxygen. If it's with oxygen, it is called aerobic respiration, and that's when you make your 36 ATP. And you are good. If you do not have oxygen, then that is when you have your anaerobic respiration, and that is also called fermentation. You have 2 types of fermentation depending on where it is taking place. If it's taking place in your body, you are producing lactic acid so it's called lactic acid fermentation. If bacteria or yeast are doing anaerobic respiration, then they are doing alcoholic fermentation because they are producing alcohol and CO2. Okay? But all of this is cellular respiration. It just depends on, do you have oxygen or do you not have oxygen? I think one of your questions on your quiz asked you, where is most of your ATP produced? Most of your ATP is produced with your aerobic respiration. If you do not have oxygen, you do not have that much ATP. Because I think it was on that worksheet that we did. I think this is 2 ATP and this is 2 ATP. I think. It's either 2 or 4. But anyway, Most of your ATP is coming from your aerobic respiration, your cellular respiration with oxygen. That is where most of your energy comes from. That is what your body wants to do. But if it does not have enough oxygen, then that's when it switches over to fermentation. And it makes a little bit of energy. All right? Okay. So, that was number 8 in your notebook. Now I have number 10 for you. All right, so this worksheet, so this chapter, I know that we haven't spent much time in your textbook, but if you wanted to, yes, Donovan? You did not get one. Oh, you'll get one soon. All right, so if you wanted to, in your textbook, this is going to be chapter 8. So this packet that I have for you is a review packet of chapter 8. Now, some of these questions go into specifics, and we did not go into specifics that often, okay? So I am going to help you do the first part of it. So I'll help you do this matching. I want you to try and do the rest of it yourself. And then tomorrow we will do what we did today, and we'll go over it tomorrow as a group, all right? And then Thursday we will probably do a Kahoot for the test review, and then Friday is your test. Remember, Friday is when your notebook is due, all right? So please make sure your notebook is ready to go on Friday. Friday. Test on Friday. Test on Friday. Okay. All right, so let's look at this matching. So some of these you should know, some of these you might not know. So number 1, the idea that energy cannot be created or destroyed. I talked about this for a little bit, but who thinks they know what it is? Russell, what did you say?
First law of
Thermodynamics. Yes, that is your first law of thermodynamics. So that we talked about briefly, but it won't be on your test. Number 2, all the chemical reactions in a cell. That is your metabolism. So that is E. That is your metabolism. Number 3, anabolic pathway that converts energy from the sun to chemical energy for use by the cells. So ignore your anabolic pathway word. What is this process? What is this process talking about? What is this process? Photosynthesis. So this is F, and this is one that you do need to know. So I will circle the ones that you do need to know. Number 4, what is the ability to do work? That is energy, and that you do need to know. Number 5, a series of chemical reactions in which the product of one reaction is the substrate for the next reaction. That is metabolic pathways, H, but we did not talk about that, so don't worry about that one. Number 6, biological molecule that provides chemical energy. That is your ATP. That is very important. You do need to know that. That is your energy that your body makes. Number 7, study of the flow of and transformation of energy. That is your thermodynamics, but we did not talk about that one, so you don't have to worry about that one. Hold on. C-E-F-A-H-I Okay. Number 8, source of nearly all energy for life. Sunlight. That is very important. Please make sure you know that. That should be an easy question on your test. Okay. Number 9, catabolic pathway that breaks down organic molecules. So if a organic molecule is a sugar, and if we ignore this catabolic pathway word, what is the breaking down of sugar? Cellular respiration. So, more specifically, what is this one part called? So what is the breaking down of sugar? Glycolysis. And glycolysis occurs in cellular respiration. So yes, that would be G. So that one you do need to know. Number 10, spontaneous increase in disorder or entropy. We did not talk about entropy, but that is your second law of thermodynamics. So what I want you to do is I want you to finish working on this on your own. You can have Starbucks time, you can listen to music, use your friends. We will go over this tomorrow. But what I'm going to do is I will go through and circle or star or mark the important parts that I'm going to use in order to make your test. So when we go over this tomorrow, please make sure you're paying attention. Yes, ma'am. Yes. All right, so work on this. We will go over it tomorrow. Please let me know if you have any questions.